It's got to get fixed. Okay, we are going to work with a chair today, mostly. If you don't have a folding chair and you're using like a dining room chair for practice, also get a broom or ski pole, something else, so that when we're using the chair in this fashion, you've got another thing to act as a lever, in lieu of the fact that your chair doesn't fold up. Perfect. Okay. Other than the chair and a blanket for some stuff, that's all we're going to utilize today. So let's get rolling. And you might use yoga blocks, because there's a couple things that we do that have us stand on the chair. And if your brain is like, no bueno, depending on the type of chair it is and the space you're in, your system might go, no, not going to stand on the chair, which is fine. You'll stand on some firm yoga blocks or books, and then still use the chair the way we're going to use the back of the chair. But yeah. Okay, so just come to standing. Your chair can be at the front of your mat, or actually you can just set the pole that you're going to use to the side, because we're going to use this folded up to start with. And simply come to stand and just notice the pressure in the right foot, where it is, your sense of where the lower shin points, the knee, the right thigh, your right hip and low back. Keep scanning all the way up to the right shoulder. Notice the right arm and where it hangs, where the palm faces. Notice the right shoulder, right side of the neck, side of the face. And then just take a couple of breaths to simply sort of take in that whole right half of the body. Okay, now we're going to let our attention move over to the left. And so noting the pressure in the left sole of the foot and where it makes contact on the ground. Noticing either the left shin or calf, where it kind of points or is orientated to. The left knee, thigh, hip, low back. Not trying to achieve anything. We're just simply noticing. Taking inventory, if you will. Come up to that left shoulder. Notice down the left arm and the left hand. Back up to the left shoulder, side of the neck, left half of the face. And then for the next few breaths, just take in that whole left half of the body. And then let your attention expand to take in the left and right halves simultaneously. And this practice of just observing, noticing, kind of taking inventory is an interesting one, because I can remember back years ago when I started, what my brain wanted to do is it made judgments about everything it noticed. It was good, it was bad, this should change, that should change. And that's not case now, and I didn't do anything other than just keep practicing, noticing what I notice. So if you notice your experiences, I don't like this because I notice that what I do is I nitpick every single thing. That's okay. Now you get to notice that you do whatever you do in this practice, and then it changes. Okay, well, we're not trying to do anything. So we're going to take our chair, fold it up, or our broom, and we're going to bring it to the left side. So I'm going to first work with the end of my chair kind of a few, maybe 4 inches ahead of and outside my left foot. And then I'm simply going to sit down in chair pose, but let this reach back. So as I sit down into chair pose, I'm going to use the lever of the chair or the dowel that I'm using, and it reaches back. And we're just going to come in and out a few times. And notice what you notice. Okay, and then we're going to move the bottom of the chair or our dowel. If it's a dowel, you'll be able to keep it in the same place. The chair, you're going to have to put the other end. And instead of reaching back, we're going to reach it forward and sit down into that chair. And you'll notice that I haven't changed the shape that I make, but you notice how this extra joint we've given ourselves changes how it is for you to make that shape. If you're not sure, switch back to where you reach back, go between the two a couple of times, and just notice what you notice. And think like the eye doctor. Does it feel better for me to go this way with that extra joint? Does it feel better for me to go this way with this extra joint that I've created? Okay, and then we're going to switch sides. So we'll take that dowel or chair onto the other side. Same thing, just a couple times where we reach that back. And you might find that on one side, the better is one configuration. On the other side, the better is another configuration. And then switch it up to where we do the offset forward. Notice how it changes where the pressure is in your feet, which will change how your ankles, knees, and hips set up. And then do a couple more to finish with the configuration on this side that feels the best. Okay? Now we're going to take that dowel and bring it in front. So you could choose to either have the end of the stick on the ground like the chair is going to be for a second, or holding the stick kind of out like this, so then the long end of the stick is out in front, which is kind of where we'll go with the chair. This could also be like a folded up like a folded up step stool too, could work. Because sometimes having the extra weight actually it changes things for sure. Okay, so with the dowel or the chair, we're going to walk our hands down it, walk the feet out, and we're going to think of moving that out of the way as we fold forward over the legs. Okay? And then we're going to lift it up as we bring ourselves back up. So we're going to reach that out of the way as we fold forward, and then we're going to lift it up as we come up. So you might find with the dowel it works good that way, or it might work better out this way, out long. So you reach it out and then lift it up. So this is what it could look like with the chair, right? I'm going to reach that out to fold me over, and then I'm going to lift it up. Okay, and again, notice your experience of shifting your center of mass based on this external joint and additional lever that we've created. Okay, so now the dowel, which again could be this way, is going to come behind our back. Or chair. Yep, it's going to come behind our back. So now as I fold forward, I'm going to reach this behind me and down towards the floor. And notice, does this create and make more space for me to fold over the legs? Or does it with it in front? Or maybe I need it like a suitcase on one side. That helps me, and then it works really well behind to come up and feel like I'm able to use my legs to come back up. Maybe I try it on the other side where I come down, and I like the feel of it in front to help me feel and use my legs to come up. So I want you just to spend a minute or two kind of playing with these different configurations to figure out what configuration and where can I use this chair dowel extra joint I've created to help me have this sense of bringing myself up from the ground from my feet and my legs. That there is space as I fold over the legs, and I don't feel like I run into myself at all in my hips or my hamstrings as I fold over. Ooh, that one was neat. I fold it over here. Okay, good. Let that go. Those of you that are on the call, I just want to check in. Did using that prop kind of help you find something different in the forward fold and in chair pose? Yeah. The side, like when you did the side stuff that was in front or back by the foot. Yeah, I didn't want to move it. Ah. So I need my arms. Yeah. And or, because what happens when we have it at the side is if we already if we're fighting rotating, this is going to expose that. Because this on this side could have me feel like I'm going to rotate away from it. And so I would say, like, so what if that happens? Right? Get okay with that sensation of it's okay if I rotate towards that thing. And as tissues get more comfortable with a fuller expression through their length, their capable length, then that will become like less so. But there can be this real feeling of, so sometimes using the two chairs, like if you had two, you might start being able to kind of feel where those rotations are, and then you can create a pitch, yaw, or roll with a body part to have you feel like you can control those rotations more. which is something worth exploring. Yeah. So, and then it's great too to calm the nervous system down, to keep working with that configuration that actually keeps sending the signal of, I know where I am in space. I can organize myself in space. The more and more we kind of saturate in that, the better. Okay, so we're going to open up our chair and place it on the front of the mat. But I'd encourage people to kind of play with a chair, a ski pole, something with contact on the ground, creating this additional joint, because that's basically what we've done, and contact point with the ground, that helps us better sense the shifts and change in our center of mass, which that external object can do. Okay, so we're going to stand in front of our chair, and we're just going to work through a little bit of a flow. Let's bring our hands onto that seat and walk the feet back so that we're in kind of a plank pose here, elevated plank pose on that chair. Okay, from here, what we're going to do is we're going to spin both heels, or roll both heels and legs to the right, and bring the left hand off the chair. Okay, and then you're going to spin or roll those heels back to center and spin them to the left. You could also think of bending all your toes to the right, and now we're on the left hand. And so come through center, and whether you think of it as a yaw of the legs or a yaw of the heel or bend of the toes, you're just going to go side to side here. And the next time you arrive in center, okay, we're going to bend the knees and pitch the legs back so that we come into like a downward dog on the chair. Heels don't have to come to the ground. They can, absolutely, but they don't have to. And then we're going to pitch the knees forward or to the floor and bring ourselves back into plank. And then let's step the right foot forward. So we're in a high lunge. Okay? We're going to shift our weight onto that right leg. Just let the left toes be on the floor. And that left hand and left foot are going to reach back. Okay? And then the knee, left knee and hand are going to reach forward and then reach back. And we're just going to do this reach forward and back, pitch forward and back a couple of times with that left arm and leg. And then let your torso yaw to the left. Hand can be on that chair. Okay, you might need to pitch the stance leg thigh backwards, back towards the foot of the mat. Then you're going to bring that left hand forward, left foot down, and bring yourself into mountain pose, the top of the mat. Okay, hands on the chair. Let's step those feet back again into plank. And twice each direction, spin those heels, yaw the legs, take a hand off. You don't have to get so that your, one half is stacked on the other half. We just need to unweight. Okay, and the next time you're through center, you're going to pitch the knees back. Find a downward dog, and then you're going to look forward and this time step the left foot. to the front of your mat. So we're in a lunge on that other side. Okay? We're going to take the right foot and just let the toes be on the floor. Reach that right hand and foot back. And then forward. So because the chair is in the way, you'll fold up that right leg. And you can have as much weight in your left hand and left leg as you want. This next time we take them both back, let's yaw the torso. So we turn towards that long end of the mat a little bit. And you might need to pitch that stance leg thigh either back down towards the ground or up towards the top of the mat, depending on whether you're standing right now on your up or your down leg. Then take that arm overhead, scoop that right leg in, and we'll come up into Tadasana. Okay, we're going to move to the middle of our mat and turn away from it. So one side of our body has the mat at the end, or the chair at the end of the mat, and the other side has just the mat. I'm going to make sure my chair is all the way on my mat so it doesn't slide. And then we're going to step a leg up onto that chair. So make sure your spacing kind of is such that it doesn't feel like you have to lean to get to that chair, because now what we are going to do is reach towards the back of the chair. The heel can come off the chair, but we want to lean our weight over that leg. Some of us might get a nice stretch into that elevated foot, groin, and hamstring, and then we're going to bring ourselves back. Maybe we take the other arm and it reaches as well. So both hands reach. That'll change kind of where we get that stretch sensation. Maybe we take that other hand and it reaches over this way. Okay, so play with what that trail arm does and how that has you experience the elevated foot and leg. And the next time we're up on that stance leg, we're going to pause here, because now the action is going to be a bend towards the other end of the mat. Okay, so we're going to go between these two. Okay, we're going to toe heel that other leg out. Boop. Bring ourselves in, and we're in a warrior two. And this can be quite intense on that elevated leg, because we're asking for a lot of length in those tissues of the hip and the glute here. Okay. Good. We're going to reach down into that seat of the chair. So we create, and this could be in front of that leg. It might need to be behind. Okay? And then that trail arm is going to come up, and we're in extended side angle. Okay, I want you to use your legs to bring you back up. And we're going to step it off. Just take a second and come back to that, like noticing the right half of the body for a few breaths. Noticing the left half of the body. Maybe even now we bring into the awareness the right half of the pelvic floor, the left half of the pelvic floor. Having done some movement. Okay, so we're going to switch that chair or flip ourselves. So the other half of us, it has that chair, and bring that leg up, okay? And just be okay with like where that foot lands. And it might be that your toes are turned out more or turned in more, or the knee is. It's fine. Let's start moving and see what things do. Don't try to keep the heel planted on the chair seat either. I'd actually like it to roll up off the chair seat as the knee goes out over the toes. And again, play with these different reaches of that trail arm to find the one on this side that creates the greatest sense of coordination, smoothness, sense of safety, and being able to kind of settle into moving yourself forward and back with one leg elevated here. Okay, the next time that we're through center, we're going to add that move of the torso the other direction over that stance leg. And so we're going to go both ways here. Okay, then we're going to heel toe that stance leg out and come into our warrior two. Okay, and then that front hand can either come in front to the chair seat or behind. And that top arm is going to reach up. And we've got a nice extended side angle here, that foot elevated. Good, okay. Heel toe that off. So this is where you can either use the chair itself and stand on it, or you can use the chair and a couple of firm blocks, okay? So the only difference would be if you're not on the chair, we're going to stand on the blocks with the ball of the foot, just as we'd stand on the chair with the ball of the foot. It was funny when I was playing with this last week, and then I watched the video back, I was like, damn, that would be a good sequence for somebody that's like a platform diver or springboard diver, because this is the position they come to, yeah? So it's like, and I also get where my kids get their risk-taking behavior in terms of exploring their environment because their mother clearly comes by it honestly too. Okay, so from here, we're gonna forward fold, and because we're on an elevated surface, our brain knows I can't just drop the weight back into my heels and round over, okay? So I want you to think the heels reach towards the ground in opposition to counterweight the weight of the torso coming forward. Okay, knees can bend, they can do whatever they want to do based on your tissues, okay? Now, I can create some interesting reaches through the heel and spins or pulls from back to front of the pelvic floor here to have a very different experience in this forward fold. I love being on the chair because I have a nice long spine, and so I can get my hands around that chair, reach. I've got the back of the chair that then I can reach my head into, and I get nice length and differentiation between all of my segments. So kind of find a place in the pose where
there's a sense of not of muscles just hanging on for dear life, but that you can create some length, some reaches, some pushes, some pulls to get some work into the legs and create some different space in the hips. Like this, I like adding this like reach of my elbows here. Really gets me some nice length through the thoracic spine. Okay. And then come on up to standing off that chair. So now if you scoot the chair out of the way, just come into a forward fold the way you normally would. It's tricky now because you've changed your brain. But you can feel how, okay, I arrive in the pose, and maybe it's just then that you hang out there. Whereas if we can create these different kind of conditions where there's some work and interesting things that feel productive, that our attention can focus on and play with, I'm more interested in doing that than just like hanging out here, okay? But no, you can always just hang out also. All right, bring yourself back up to standing. How are we doing? Yeah, we're going to go that way, Anne, too. Okay, so we just did some spinal flexion. We're going to do some spinal extension. There's a couple of ways we're going to work this. The first way we're going to work it is standing up. And this is where we're going to use our chair behind us. How do I want to use this? Or dowel. Dowel might be tricky, actually. So dowel, you might just hook underneath your elbows, or you might have it in your, yeah, you'll probably have it hooked underneath the elbows. Okay, so the benefit of the chair is I've also got this feedback down, lower down, where it's able to move, but I'm going to start up here, where then I think about starting that extension at the point where this is hitting me in the back. I'm going to lift up from there to bend back. Okay? You can have a bend in the knees. You can have, I like to be more weighted on the bit of my balls of my feet, because again, as I go back then, my heels have some place to go as I extend through the spine. Okay, so we're going to flip that, take our chair and make it something we can sit on. And this is where the back of the chair can be useful. So maybe my hands come back and up high, and then it becomes more of a focus. The first thing actually I want you to do is just wiggle and waggle and find where you feel like you're sitting right on your butthole. Okay? So I don't want you to lose that sense of feeling like you're sitting right on your butthole, as now you reach the elbows and pitch the elbows down towards the ground. So I can just get me a nice stretch in my chest. I can let my head fall back, or I can keep my head more neutral. Okay? I can slide the hands down maybe to the back of the chair seat
and then create a push into the seat and a pitch of the elbows down towards the floor to get this lift of the chest and back bend. Maybe I scoot right back into my chair. So now the back is on my back. I'm sitting on my butthole. And then again, I can use my hands on the chair, but I get this feedback. Oh, and I just got a crick, crack, crack adjustment of pulling myself over the back of the chair. Maybe I scoot my hips towards the front of the chair so I lean back, and again, so that I can use the back of the chair on different vertebra to create this reach, pull, push to get some sensation, some length, some different things in different areas. Let's grab our blanket, if you've got one, or towel, and we'll just put it over the back rail so it's got a bit of padding. And the reason for that is we're gonna yaw, turn in that seat, and create that reach. So now it becomes less kind of spinal and more rib related. Okay? If you've got the yoga blocks, and depending how deep your seat back is, this is where I could also elevate myself up. So now I'm hitting the spine lower down. So it becomes less of a mid-upper thoracic extension and more T11, kind of mid-lower thoracic that I can, and getting into some different ribs. Okay, but this can be a great way, like midday when you're feeling, especially this week after the time change, when you're kind of feeling like, oh, it's getting dark already and it's 3:30 or 4:30, to get a bit of energy. I use it when the kids were younger. I would use it before they got home. I still kind of do, because it ends up being that I'm driving kids around after school sometimes. And so this can be a nice way to just kind of refocus, get a little bit of energy. It's kind of nice. Okay? So we're going to pop off there and move our chair down to the ground. So I want to give one other option with the chair like this. You could use the blanket here, because this starts to be a little bit lower than if we were on the chair seat. So if I bring my hands onto that crossbar, coming into plank, it's a different height than what the chair seat was at. So I could work that sequence we did at the beginning in this configuration, which is a different height than working it on the chair seat. Okay, so I just want to show you guys that as an option, but we'll do a little something here. Okay, so find plank in this configuration. And if your chair doesn't lend itself to this, just do it on the chair seat. Okay, so now from here, what you're going to do is we're going to bring the left knee out to the side and up to the left
elbow. And then we're going to take that left foot up to the ceiling, pitch the hips back, and come into three-legged dog. Then we'll come back to plank. So now we're going to bring the right knee to the right elbow. Take that right leg up to the sky. Take the hips back. Now we're in down dog, three-legged dog on the left. Find yourself back through plank. Okay, let's spin the heels to the left. I find I have to take my hand to the center. Let's reach overhead, lift the hips. So we're in a lateral side bend here. And then spin the heels back to center. Bring that left knee to the elbow. Reach the hips back, pitch them back and up. Take that left leg to the ceiling. Press through the arms. Don't worry if the heel is planted or not. I want you to be able to have that kind of reach through the heel so we're active through the back of that leg. And then come back through plank. This time we're going to spin the heels to the right. Before you do walk the hands to the center of that chair. Spin the heels to the right. Let yourself come to that side plank. Hips pitch to the ceiling. Head pitches to the floor. Spin the heels back through center. Right knee to the right elbow. Reach back. Three-legged dog. Come forward through plank. Walk those feet up towards the chair. Okay. You're going to fold forward. Your head hopefully will reach that seat of the chair or that padded rail. Kind of the crown of the head, forehead. And let your weight just kind of shift forward and back with contact through that head. Let the chin kind of nod. For 3, 2, and 1. Feel the feet. Let's roll up like a rag doll. Just let the head, shoulders, arms be heavy, heavy, heavy. Roll yourself up. Take those arms up. Palms through center. Arms can stay center or come to the side. And just take one more opportunity before we move down to the floor. Just notice your right half, your left half. And your whole. You're going to take that blanket off, scoot that chair to the side, and come on down to the floor. Okay, with that blanket, we're going to make a pillow for our head. Come to side lying. Take a second to kind of line up the hips, the back, the shoulders, the head with the back edge of the mat, roughly-ish. Okay? Wherever you want that bottom arm. And then what we're going to do is you're going to take that top leg, bring the knee to the chest, and you might grab a big toe or the inside of that foot And then we're going to let the heel spin out. So the toes are pointed to the head and the heel is pointed to the tail end of the mat. And then we're going to bend the knee, fold the leg, bring it back down. Okay, and then we're going to reach it up again. Don't worry if the knee doesn't come straight. Don't worry if the top hip rolls back. Good. The next time we fold that leg up, you're going to bring your hand and it's going to come to the outside pinky edge of that foot. Same thing. Let the heel spin so it faces the bottom edge of the mat and the toes, the front, the head end. Depending on your leg, arm kind of length, this might be quite a bit of a stretch. It might not be much of a stretch for you. I want you to think of and notice the unfolding and the relationship between the hip, the knee, and the ankle. And think of it more of like a push to the ceiling rather than an unfolding towards the bottom edge of the mat. Okay, the next time you fold that leg up, just bring both legs to rest on one another. Then we're going to take that top arm and it's just going to work either over top of the head or down by the hip to yaw us open towards the ceiling. Let the pelvis and the legs do whatever they do. And you're just going to yaw yourself, almost like a kind of a yawn from side lying to opening up the chest and to take your gaze towards the ceiling. Okay, now if you want, you can use your bottom arm to secure the top leg. And so the range will be different. The sensation will be different. You might take your top hand and you might want to bring it onto your rib cage. Some of us, it'll work better to keep rolling it over top of the head and bringing that back of the shoulder towards the floor. But just find kind of some interesting sensations, lines of pull and direction that work for you today. Okay, the next time you're on your side, we're going to pause there and we're going to set up on the other side. So take a second, make sure that you've got the support you want underneath your head, that it doesn't feel like your bottom shoulder's getting squished or crunched. That your head, shoulders, pelvis are kind of aligned with that edge of the mat. And then we're going to fold up that top knee up into the chest and hold on to the mound of the big toe. And again, let the heel spin away from your head and your toes spin towards your head as you press that foot up towards the ceiling. And when I say heel spins towards the bottom edge of the mat and the toes go towards the top edge of the mat, it doesn't need to be that precise. So, let go of a preciseness about where things are pointing and play more with the timing, coordination, and rhythm that you feel from your hip out to your foot. Next time you fold that leg up, we're going to grasp the pinky toe side. And again, unfold and fold that leg a couple of times. maybe your attention goes to the knee where it's like folded up into the armpit, and then it ends up pointing towards the elbow. It folds up into the armpit, and then it ends up roughly pointing towards that elbow. Okay, and then we're going to just lay on our side for a second here. And then add that sweep either by the hips to bring that arm behind us and turn us, yawning us open towards the ceiling. The arm can go overhead. Okay, so you can go down by the hips. You can go up and overhead. So if one of those creates a clicking, clunking in the shoulder that you don't like, don't do that option. Okay, and then if you want to, you can stay with this kind of very like Sunday afternoon kind of yawning quality, or you can clasp that top leg with the bottom arm, and you can bring in a constraint of the pelvis not moving and work some different lines of direction. Floating, because we're not letting that top leg come off the bottom leg or the pelvis move. So you decide what you want right now and on this side. Okay, we're going to do two more. Maybe you let the head initiate the roll. Okay, and then we're going to let that go. And make your way onto your back. Because we've got the blanket, I'm going to show you a way. If you put it over top of the feet and then tuck the ends in underneath, it can create a bit of a like cocoon or a hammock for the legs. So when you lay down for Shavasana, the feet don't roll out. And it's not that the feet rolling out are bad or anything. This just kind of sets us in a different position to finish our yoga practice than if the blanket isn't around the feet. So you drape it over the top and then tuck the ends in underneath each heel. Okay. Settle in here. I've got an 18-year-old that's decided to get in the shower and play rap music, so I'm going to mute myself. You guys don't have to listen to it in your Shavasana. No, unmute to bring us out. the sounds around you of my voice. And start to bring movement back to the body. It's pretty cute because I don't know if you can hear, but my son's in the shower downstairs and the music is very loud, but he's singing along with it, which is adorable. Okay, just bring movement back to the body, whatever way feels good for you today. That might be keeping things small or rocking something side to side. That might be reaching up and getting really long. Okay, you're going to make your way onto your side. Whatever side you want to roll to. Just let yourself linger there for a moment before you use your arm and your hand to press yourself up to a seated position. Take a moment to find your seat. Might bring the palms together just to the left of heart center and Anjali Mudra. You might leave your hands in your lap. Just finishing with a couple of nice, smooth, soft inhales and exhales. Om Shanti Shanti Peace.